Hey guys, I'm Eric Larson, Meg's dad, and I'm here with Sean Cognato, soon to be Meg's husband, soon to be my son-in-law, and we just thought we'd do a little casual get to know you Q&A. Sean, how you feeling?
It's cool. I'm kind of curious, like, what's with the knife, man?
Oh yeah, this you don't really need to worry. I was just for depending on how the interview goes, but well, I'll just put that aside right now.
Okay.
All right, so Sean, I got a little list of questions here for you. The first ones are just to let folks get to know you just a little bit. So the first one is just tell us where you grew up.
I don't know why I'm having this. I am from Chicago originally. Grew up there my whole life, all over Chicagoland. Also lived in Texas for a short time, and now I live in St. Louis.
Yeah, save the best for last.
Yeah.
And where did you and Meg meet?
We actually met my junior year at Moody. We both were going to Moody, and we ended up on the same. Moody has like a thing that they set up where it's like the brosis. So both there's like floors that are linked together, and she happened to be on the sister floor of my floor, so we
Naturally, your floors connected, and
yep. So we
met.
ate lunch together. We ended up connecting through social stuff, and
yeah. And what drew you guys to? Well, what drew you to go to Moody in the first place?
I spent a long time trying to figure out what my calling was. I ended up going to community college. Ironically, in an anthropology course, figured out that I felt like pastoral ministry was the thing. So, Moody seemed like the next logical option. Prayed a lot about it, sought godly counsel, and the Lord opened the door, and the rest is history.
Yeah. And what did you study there?
Pastoral ministry.
All right.
So, got
That's
a BA
awesome.
in pastoral ministry.
All right. Fantastic. And where do you work now?
Right now I work at Covenant Theological Seminary. I am the lead housekeeper there.
Okay.
Keep the campus clean and functional so everybody else can learn.
Mm-hmm. Are there things that you like about the job?
Yeah, it's satisfying. Unlike a lot of my other jobs, it feels fulfilling, that I feel like even though it's not directly ministry, it's ministry adjacent, because I'm helping people get MDivs and ministry degrees, and it's cool to see families there and kids, and feel like I'm part of helping them on their journey to take the next steps. So that's definitely fulfilling.
That is definitely a ministry. That's awesome. And you started to touch on this already, but when you were at Moody, how did you, specifically the moment that you and Meg really met and connected? When was that? What was that like?
Yeah, so me and Meg, the first time, I don't remember if it was the first time, but I know the big memorable moment, like me and my friend Zach had lunch one day with Meg, and we were just talking about a bunch of inane nonsense, I'm sure. And we just hit it off, and it turned out that they were starting a Dungeons and Dragons group that they invited me to, and then Meg happened to, at a separate event, ask to join the thing, and it turned out that we were both going to be in the same group, so it was great. And then, we ended up becoming friends, and then eventually dating.
That's so cool. Yeah. So from that point to the point when was it that you got to that moment in your relationship with Megan where you knew she was the one?
Define the one. Like,
where you thought to yourself, this is the woman I think I want to marry. I'm sure I want, or I know I want to marry.
The moment that I knew I wanted to get married to Meg was at her sister Abby's wedding.
Oh, cool.
This is a awkward, vulnerable thing, whatever, I'll share it anyway. It was just, there was like a time where, like during the wedding, where we went to go dance with each other, and I'm not about that. I can't dance, I don't like it, I feel awkward. But in that moment, I just didn't care. It was just like, it felt like the right thing, and it didn't bother me, and I wasn't, all that anxiety that I usually feel about that sort of thing, it just kind of wasn't there. And I was just like, this feels like it's the right thing, It's just like whenever I'm with Meg and thinking about things, I don't feel the pressure or anxiety that I do a lot of times from life. It just feels like it makes sense. Like it's just, we're perfect pieces that fit together. Even though she pushes me far outside of my boundaries, or not boundaries, but like comfort zones a lot, which is really good and helpful, but it's not always easy.
Yeah, I understand that. I married one of those too. Oh, that's great, man. Great. So I wanted to ask you, what are 3 words, and I know this isn't really a fair question, but what are 3 words you would use to describe Meg?
That's hard. How do you minimize one person to 3 words?
I know. It's just
3 words. All right. She's beautiful, talented, and hilarious. Those are like the top 3.
I love it. Yep. Very good. Well, obviously, Meg wanted a man, just like the one she grew up with here. But seriously, what do you think? What do you think are the 3 words she would use to describe you?
I would say, if I had to guess, probably passionate, intentional, and caring, I guess.
Yeah.
I know I'm trying to make myself sound awesome right now, but hopefully she agrees.
No, I'm sure she will. It'll be interesting. We'll have to ask her these questions and see what she chooses. But those are great. On the fun side, can you share any quirks you've discovered about Megan through these years of dating her? How many years has it been since you first officially were dating?
Since January 2020. So
okay, so
that was
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5, just under 5.
Yeah, if you add in your first date, maybe 5 years.
Sure.
So yeah, so little quirks about her that you could share that you've discovered.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a hard question.
To you, there's nothing's a quirk.
Right.
To you,
she's just perfect and amazing, and there's never
that's
does anything weird ever.
Keep that mantra going. That will serve you well, brother. I love it. Well answered. Well answered. In the movie Rocky, which is a personal favorite, so hopefully you agree with me. That's a good movie. But anyway,
oh, yeah, for sure.
in the movie Rocky, he is dating Adrian, and he turns to her on one of their dates, and he says, "I got gaps. You got gaps. Together we fill gaps." Classic, wonderful symbolic words from Rocky. But in a serious sense, what are some ways that you see and have begun to discover how you and Megan do fit together, complement each other?
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways, being the person that I am, it's very easy for me to be assertive, ambitious. There's negative connotations, but aggressive, but not in like a bad way. Just like knowing what I want, being passionate, going for it, sort of thing. And I think in a lot of ways I help her to feel more confident in sharing how she feels, what she is looking for, wanting to pursue things, and encouraging her to do those things where she tends to be more meek and reserved and sometimes not always sure of herself, which is okay, but
sure,
we all need a little push, and that's great.
Yeah.
I think in the opposite way, the biggest way that Meg helps me is if there's like one attribute that stands out to me in her character, she effortlessly is kind to people. It takes like no effort. She can just be kind and gracious to people. She just lifts everybody up around her, and that's one of the things that I love the most about her. And that's somewhere where I struggle sometimes. It's tempering the truth with compassion, and she just overflows with being able to be kind to others, and it helps me to strive to do that too.
Those are awesome complimentary gifts. That's really neat. Well, last question for you at this point is just, what are some practical ways we can be praying for you guys at this stage in the journey?
The biggest thing, I guess, is my desire more than anything else with us going into our first season of marriage is really striving to keep the solid foundation of making sure that like Christ is at the center of everything, because I know that it's not going to be easy, and I've heard from many wiser people than me that marriage is a sanctification tool. So that means there's going to be a lot of stuff for both of us, and it's going to make it challenging. But I feel like it's all going to be for our good. And the most important thing is just that through all of the times, you know, where it's good or bad or challenging or whatever, that like we keep Christ at the center and remember that that's like make the one thing the one thing more than anything. Yeah, I think that's maybe that's a little too metaphysical, but that's the most like the number one thing for me. And for me personally, I mean, I can't answer for her, but for me personally, like you know, on my wedding band, I have, what is it, Ephesians 5:25, where it's like, love your wife like Christ loves the church. You know, just as a remembrance that the most important thing for me to do as a husband is to like love her, and we know what that looks like because Christ did it first. So
That's right.
you know, it's not like we're shooting in the dark trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But any prayers for me to just be able to be, you know, patient and kind, gracious, as we're navigating the beginning of a whole new chapter, which is going to be amazing and beautiful and challenging and difficult all at the same time. I can only guess. I've never been married, so
here we go.
Yeah.
Great adventure. Well, I love that those are your priorities going into it, and I'm sure everybody watching will join in prayer for that. So thanks for sitting through this,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Welcome to the family, my son. Good job. Awesome. All right, we're back because I had a couple more questions I just thought of that I wanted to ask you. The first one is, Sean, tell us, what do you think it'll be like to sleep with my daughter?
I mean, most likely we're going to have a queen mattress. I'm going to be using a CPAP machine, so she's going to have to get used to the noise.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. We're going to have problems if I don't get the right side of the bed. That's my side. I called it already. I called
Same.
dibs. But besides that, yeah, it'll be great.
I get that.
No worries.
Good, good. What about, you're going to get this question a lot. When are you guys going to have kids?
The future. Yeah, I think that space required to have a bunch of baby goats around is kind of a burden when you have an apartment. Maybe if we get some tracts of land,
Yeah.
you know, it's the future.
The
It's
future,
fine.
when you've got the space. Yeah. It is a lot, a commitment to raise them.
Yeah.
Good. What about, when was your last fight and whose fault was it?
Well, it's an easy one. Like, we don't fight. Meg knows better than to argue with me. I'm always right. I mean, it goes without saying, if we're both, I mean, Meg's always right, and she's never done a single thing wrong, and she takes after her dad. Like, she just, that, you know, big brain.
Good man. That was great.
Does that work?